Hi, my name's Mary. I was diagnosed with ADHD about 3 years ago, and I'm here to talk to you today about how I manage my mental well-being while having ADHD. So the first thing to think about is that a big part of improving your mental well-being as an ADHD person is letting go of the idea that you should be ashamed of needing to do things differently to other people. So the key thing about this video isn't that you follow all the advice in it, it's that you take away the message that it's okay to change and adapt things to work for you. You have a neurodevelopmental disorder which causes trouble with, among other things, concentration, executive function, working memory and energy. So you don't have to do the same things that everybody else does in order to improve your mental well-being. You don't have to be ashamed of making changes to the standard mental well-being advice to make it work for you. And if people give you grief about making systems that work for you, just ignore them. So traditional mental well-being advice doesn't really work for me. I need to adapt it. So for example, going for a walk doesn't really quiet down my busy brain. But if I put in headphones and I listen to music or a podcast, it becomes much more relaxing for me and helps me get out of my head. In general, if you're doing activities outside, don't be ashamed of adapting them for sensory issues that you might have, because sensory issues can really get in the way of exercising, walking, or just generally getting out and about for me. So, for example, if you find a lot of noise very overwhelming and difficult to deal with, you can use earplugs. You can get ones that just lower the level of sound you're hearing rather than blocking it out. So you can still talk to people, you can still hear what's going on around you, it's just not quite as loud. Also, you can use earbuds or headphones to listen to music and podcasts when you're out and about. That can help. I found that seasons are totally irrelevant to sensory issues, especially in Scotland. So the bright sun in winter can be really painful for me, and cold winds in spring hitting my neck can just be really unpleasant. So if it's cold and bright outside, wear your sunglasses. If it's hot and there's a cold breeze and it's bothering you, put on a light scarf. It's absolutely fine, especially in Scotland, to just make yourself comfortable. Think of ways that you can be more comfortable when you're getting out and about, and what might be putting you off getting out and about, and how you can balance that out. And you'll be able to do a lot more for your mental well-being that's comfortable and that works for you. In terms of getting exercise, which is really good for your mental well-being, I need company or competition, or I need to feel like I'm learning a skill. So if I have someone come with me when I go running or swimming, that's great. And I found yoga really good because you feel like you're learning a skill. You're learning these new poses, you're learning these ways of breathing. So I found myself still being very engaged with it and enjoying it a bit more. I also need low barriers to entry, which means running and yoga are perfect, because for yoga, I just have to put on a video and get out my yoga mat. Or if I want to go for a run, I just have to put on my trainers and put on my headphones, and that's it, and I'm out the door. So anything that involves specialist equipment, going to scheduled classes, going to the gym, can be quite difficult for me because it uses up a lot of executive function. So I found it's better for my mental well-being to be able to exercise in ways that don't require a lot of extra organising and managing things. Also, eating healthily is so good for your well-being, and it's also kind of a nightmare if you have ADHD. So if you have a lot of energy and executive function to spare one day, try and use some time to prep some healthy snacks for you, so you're not just grabbing for whatever's in the cupboard. Also, buy pre-prepared fruit and veg. There's no point in having a full uncut rotten mango in your fridge when you could have bought a box of pre-cut mango and eaten it on the same day. There's no point in having a whole lettuce in your fridge turning brown when you could be eating bagged salad with your dinner and still getting that healthy food into your diet. You know, part of the reason pre-prepared fruit and veg exists is to help people with disabilities and difficulties. It's not lazy, it's not a waste of money if it makes sure that you're actually going to eat healthily, rather than leaving it to just go off because it requires extra preparation that might be a bit difficult for you that day. Another thing that's really good for mental well-being activities, like exercising, meditation, all that kind of thing, is body doubling. So body doubling is when you're in a room with someone, or you have someone on the other end of a video call, and you're both doing the same task or quite similar tasks. So for example, if you wanted to make sure you read a chapter of a book, having someone on a video call with you that was also reading a chapter of a book would be helpful. You can even just have somebody ask, if someone lives with you, can you just be in the room with me while I do my yoga or while I meditate? We don't know why it works, but it does. And body doubling is amazing for exercising, food prep, and all kinds of things that you'll find can benefit your mental well-being. So if you go online, have a look for body doubling services. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of apps for body doubling. Have a bit of a look around. In terms of mental well-being with ADHD, social media can be really bad for us in a number of ways. The first thing I'd say is don't rely solely on social media for any research you're doing about ADHD, like if you think you might have it or if you're looking for ways to cope with it. Social media, especially TikTok, is full of misinformation about ADHD. And getting your ADHD diagnosed and properly treated, if at all possible for you, is really helpful for your mental well-being as an ADHD person. But if you're absorbing a lot of misinformation, it can be really hard for you to understand your condition and to communicate about it accurately. So look for books on ADHD that are written by clinicians, and look for ADHD charities that might be near you. And charities on neurodivergence that might be near you, they'll have more information. And also in terms of social media, I'd recommend uninstalling the social media apps so you don't spend too much time on them. Or get an app that only lets you have a certain amount of time on a social media app per day. You can get those like with your phone, or you can download them. If you remove the social media apps from your phone, you're so much less likely to fall down a hole and end up spending hours and hours and hours scrolling them for dopamine. And if you block the app after a certain amount of time, say an hour, then you have to go and do something else. You have to get off the app. So it's just that much better for your well-being rather than having these constant little dopamine spikes from social media that then leave you feeling a bit down and a bit off when you're not on it. Also for me, I found that reading, colouring, crafting, whatever I can do that stops me doom scrolling and falling down a social media hole is really helpful. So I got a book on learning to draw, I got a notepad and some pencils, I got colouring books, I got a reverse colouring book where you add the lines instead of the colour, and I keep magazines and books just lying around all over the place. And that means if I'm tempted to pick up the phone and start doom scrolling or start looking at social media, or maybe end up like looking at something on Facebook and then following an ad and buying something I don't need. There's lots of other distractions around me, so there's lots of stuff that'll make me feel good rather than leaving me feeling sort of dissatisfied and needing to scroll more, which social media can definitely do, especially if you have ADHD. So it's really important for your mental well-being to find ways of staying off of it as much as you can. So one of the things that can be really difficult about having ADHD is you can end up spending quite a bit of time feeling low, feeling tired, fatigued, or just generally burnt out. So when that happens, you don't need to feel ashamed of it or feel guilty about the fact that you're just taking some me time. Instead, you can make that time work for you. So you're really getting rest and you're really helping yourself recharge and feel better. So obviously, comfy clothes. Get your PJs on. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. Who cares? Get your PJs on. Using things like weighted blankets, even just when you're sitting about on the couch, can be really, really helpful. For me, there's comfort TV shows that I watch. So for me, it's sitcoms. Because they have a predictable structure, they have a predictable beats, you have an idea of what's going to happen. I find them very comforting. And like, I don't know about you, but I've seen them all a million times. But it could be anything for you. Also doing some crafts, it can be really helpful. Again, if you're feeling burnt out, for me, you can sit and knit, I can cross stitch. For other people, it could be origami, drawing, literally anything. If you go on YouTube, there are so many videos about learning different crafts, and it can be really affordable as well. So things like, origami, for example, literally any bit of paper you can use to learn origami. You can get wool and needles, crochet hooks very cheaply You can also get them secondhand. Secondhand charity shops and eBay tend to have a lot of knitting and cross-stitching supplies. And like I say, YouTube is just full of useful tutorials by people who really know what they're doing. So try and find something that can make you feel relaxed and rested and keep your hands busy when you're feeling a bit low. It can be really restful and really soothing. I love to read as well. But if I'm feeling burnt out, if I'm feeling a bit low, it's going to have to be something really easy, like a really light romantic comedy type thing, or it's going to be something I've read a whole bunch of times before. So now isn't the time to try and tackle a massive non-fiction book about a war or something. It's when you want something light and romantic and easy, or something really, really funny, or something that's familiar. Short stories are great as well. And again, online, there are a lot of people who share their short stories and things online. And you could also just go to the library, get some books. You can get ebooks from the library. You don't even necessarily have to get off the couch. So look at finding some stuff you can read that'll keep you off the phone and help you just decompress and relax. In general, just be gentle on your brain. It's been through a lot. And if it helps to get the bad feelings out, journaling is great. See, even if it's just like half a page, even if all you do is write, I feel rubbish today, that's fine. Just get the bad feelings out and you will feel much, much better. ADHD brains go through a lot. We struggle to concentrate, we struggle to focus, we struggle with relationships, we struggle with sensory issues. There's a lot going on. So it's important to give your brain a break and not feel guilty about it. It's important to get some rest. It's important everybody gets some rest and doesn't feel guilty about it. You don't have to have ADHD to feel that way. But it is important to bear in mind that you have these needs and it'll do a lot of good for your mental well-being if you rest, you make the most of the opportunity to rest when you can get it. In terms of sleep, it can be really hard for people with ADHD and it's really important for your mental well-being. So there's a few things you can do. You can talk to your doctor or pharmacist about medications you're on if you're worried about sleep and you're worried they're affecting your sleep. Definitely talk to your doctor about them. And also you can talk to your doctor or pharmacist about sleeping remedies that you can safely take, whether that's something herbal or even remedies you don't have to take, like maybe there's a room spray or a different type of pillow. There's a lot of different options there. You don't always have to be taking medications or supplements. The important thing is that you actually talk to a professional about it. Don't just buy things online and hope for the best because you don't know necessarily what you're getting or how it's going to interact with any meds you might be on. It's also important with ADHD to consider your living space. Now, we hear a lot about sleep hygiene, keeping the bedroom just for sleep, but that doesn't really work for me. I don't know if it works for a lot of ADHD people. What works better for me is I set it up so that my bedtime routine is pretty effortless. So try and find a way of making it easy for yourself. Brush your teeth in front of the TV. Who cares? Wait until you've gotten into bed to use face wipes and moisturiser to get your makeup off. That's absolutely fine. Put your PJs on right after dinner. Who cares? The goal is that when you're sitting on the couch or you're sitting in the chair and it's bedtime, the goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to get up and get into bed. And then once you get into bed, you want your bed to be comfy and you want it to be really, really good. So you might want to get an eye mask or some blackout blinds. You might want to get a weighted blanket. The goal is to just make sure that bedtime is fairly effortless, because going through a lot of processes and timetabling things out can be really hard for an ADHD person and it doesn't help you get into bed. Leave your phone on the other side of the room with your alarm on if you can. Get it far away. Get it far, far away from you so you don't end up playing with it when you need to go to sleep. And a lot of the time we do get advice to stay away from screens past a certain time of night for sleep. That can be really hard. So what I do instead is I have blue light blocking glasses or blue light filters that I put on my screens. So even if I am looking at my phone at 10 o'clock at night, if I've got blue light glasses on or a blue light filter on my phone, it's still not having the same stimulating effect on my brain. Again, if you're not sure, that's another thing to talk to your doctor or your optician about. But in general, make your bedtime routine work for you. Find a way of making it easy, and you'll find it easier to get better sleep, especially if you think you need help. Ask for help and make a routine that works for you. And you'll find getting a bit of extra sleep and getting better rest is so beneficial for your mental well-being. So that's all the advice I have. I think the really important thing to take away is that if you need to adapt mental well-being advice that you've gotten, or if you need to adapt your living space to make it work for you as an ADHD person, you can. Have a think about habits that you want to get into, and have a think about what the barriers for them are for you as someone with ADHD, and how you can break them down. How do you make it easy for yourself? How do you reduce the level of executive function and planning something takes? How do you get to the point where you can do it? Because that's how you end up really benefiting your mental well-being, and it's great for you. Okay, thank you. Bye.